Welcome in, everyone. Thank you for joining me today on Qwanchycast, my very small, very brief podcast. This is going to be the very first episode with a really good friend of mine who I've known for a few years. Her name is Katie. Well, she goes by Katie. She goes by a bunch of different names, but we're gonna go with Katie today. Um,
Yes.
and we're gonna be talking about bucket lists. Now, Katie, if you will, you can introduce yourself more if you like.
Well, hi, my name is Katie. I'm 27 years old. Love you, Q. Known you for a long time. I'm always happy to do stuff like this. I enjoy it. I love public speaking, you know that. So this for me is actually really fun.
I've been wanting to have a podcast of my own for so long. And just like to get out and talk to people about their different cultures, and like we were just speaking about the different ethnical backgrounds and things, and how we could have grown up completely different in different parts of the world, but somehow we are connected. I mean, we know how we are connected, but people are connected in ways, and the whole goal or the mission is to just learn about different cultures, and learn how I grew up and how someone else grew up could be very similar but also different, and also how we think, because believe it or not, a lot of people think very similarly, but doesn't mean that it's identical. So that was the whole
Okay.
purpose of this.
I love it.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, and I love you too. I heard that. Um,
Oh,
so I asked you earlier this week about some things that's on your bucket list, and some of those things would be like swimming with the dolphins, visiting or vacationing in Thailand, and also obtaining your PhD or your master's, whichever route you decide to go. We can start with the dolphins, but let's talk about how these three things became a part of your bucket list. What was the inspiration behind each of these?
so for swimming in dolphins, it's always been a dream of mine because I love animals.
Hmm.
Except for snakes. I'm sorry, I can't. They terrify me. But with dolphins, I like dolphins. They always seem so sweet, and I just want to touch one. Like I just want to hug one. Like you ever look at an animal that's so cute, and you're like, that animal could kill me, but at the same time, it deserves a hug. That's how I feel. But dolphins won't hurt me. And I always see people doing it like on reality TV shows, and it looks like so much fun. Just like something simple, even if you don't do it multiple times, just do it once would be like that would be a core memory for anyone, I feel like.
So I would assume that, given that you want to swim with dolphins, that you love to swim. I would assume.
I do. I don't do it often, but I wish I had a pool in my backyard because I would be out there like every other day swimming. I love swimming, but unfortunately, I don't have a pool, and neither do any of my family members because your girl is poor.
Yeah, well, it's being in California. One of those things, I guess. Um, let's see. How close are you to obtaining this goal? I'm not even sure if there's like requirements. Do you have to like be like scuba certified or anything
No,
like that?
no, no. You just like sign up for it. You have to pay for it, obviously, but like a
Mhm.
lot of resorts have like options to do it and stuff like that. I'm not close anywhere. I don't know if it'll ever happen. It'll happen, actually. Let me correct that. It'll happen one day, just probably not soon. But it would be really fun, especially like if you go to Hawaii or like places like that. They probably have a lot of options. You just have to do more research. I haven't done a lot of research. I just know I want to.
I was gonna say that was gonna be my next question. Where ideally would you like to swim with dolphins? Like, would you like to do it here in California, or like somewhere close by? Would you like to do it in a specific region or area or
It doesn't
waterway?
matter. I love dolphins. I just want a great experience. And I would never swim with dolphins though if like the facility. I just would never do it like at a park or something. Like the facilities that hold animals like that. I don't like that, and so preferably it would be at like what do you call those? I'm trying to think of the words. Like it's like a I don't want to say that like like the where they keep them, but they're like close to the wild, and it's more for studying and
Hmm.
keeping them healthy and stuff. Not like a zoo or an aquarium, but aquariums don't do that either. I don't know. I don't know how to phrase it, but you know what I mean.
I understand. Yeah, I think that is very obtainable. A very obtainable goal on the bucket list of yours. I think it probably can happen within the next year. What do you think? I know you said it's some time, but maybe who knows? It probably can happen within the next year.
Yeah, it could. I'm not saying it's not, but I mean, if not, there's always tomorrow.
Next up on your bucket list, and this is like in no particular order, but next, one of the other things you want to do on your bucket list was visit Thailand.
Yes.
Where did that inspiration come from?
It came from, I follow a lot of YouTubers forever, and a lot of them live in other Asian countries. So a lot of them live mostly in Japan and South Korea. And a lot of them vacation in Thailand because it's cheap and it's closer, right? They're coming back to the States for them. And so it's so fun because they'll share the entire experience, and they're like, I know a lot of people are worried like about the whole speaking English or speaking the same language, right? And where to go, like if you guys have like a disability, like especially when it comes to eating, that's something I look out for. Is I can't really eat spicy foods. Love them, can't eat them. They don't love me. And so I was just worried about those things, and they were so nice to explain certain resorts that are so accommodating towards people. And the staff's nice, like the food is really good. And of course, I would still want to go out though and see more, and they're really nice too with like tours and stuff like that. Because I think like my biggest fear when traveling is I don't want to offend people. I would just like to watch and appreciate. So it would be really nice to go there because it is beautiful. I've seen so many photos, and I'm a huge fan of K-pop, and a lot of those people in K-pop aren't Korean. They're other ethnicities like Thai or Chinese, and so it's really cool. One of my favorite K-pop artists is Thai, and so she always like is so proud of where she comes from. And when you just look at like Thailand more in depth, it's a beautiful country, and the people seem so nice. So I would love, love, love to go there.
Okay. I don't know much about Thailand, and I probably should know more. I've in the industry that I work in, I know people from all over, or at least different parts of the world, and I feel like I know a few people from Thailand, but I don't know much about it myself personally, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this podcast because I get to learn about different cultures, as I mentioned earlier, and I think that's the coolest thing in the world.
Oh
Because
yeah.
the things that we have here in the United States, even the western part of the United States, could be different from the eastern part, or from Mexico, which is just to the south of us, or even
Been,
Canada,
yeah.
which is just north of us. So
Never
it's
been to Canada. Can't speak on that, but I have been to Mexico, and it is a lot different. Not it's a good different though. I don't. It is different though. It's a different feeling that you get when you're in a different country. I mean, I felt at home because like I was surrounded by family, and it was same old for me. But like it's jarring. I think it's a bigger difference when you um, travel continents, right? Whereas like we could go to Canada and it's pretty similar. It's very different, but it also has similarities, right? If we were to go to South Korea, like, I have a best friend who lives there, and she's like, it's completely different. It's a culture shock, but it's really cool to see those differences, I think. Makes it more interesting.
I think that's what the world needs a little bit more of, and I'm glad that we have things like TikTok or even YouTube,
Yeah.
to the sense where people can post, you know, their experiences in different places, and hopefully, I mean, I would like to believe that everyone is um, abiding by the customs and regulations in these type of
Yeah. I
places
just feel
because
like being respectful is so easy.
yeah,
Just be
I
nice.
I I agree. Did you have any particular place in Thailand that you wanted to visit? Like, what would be if you? I know that you said you see
uh,
people and you did maybe a little bit of research. If there is one place in particular in Thailand that you would like to visit, doesn't have to be first or last. Just visit in general, like that. That's like I must see this. What place would that be?
Honestly, just the main cities. I think I'll have to look more into it. I haven't done in depth because obviously I'm not close to going there. It's so expensive. Um, but I would say the main cities for sure, just because obviously they are more available for tourists. But I would love to go to the small one, like the smaller cities as well, and see because it puts a lot of stuff into perspective when you see how other people live compared to the way you live, and it kind of just makes you appreciate it more. And they could be living better than us though, to be honest though, too. I don't know. Like even like if I just chose to go to New York, right? It would be a learning experience because it is different than living in California.
I can attest to that. I don't know about upstate New York, but I do know New York City. Coming like
Yeah.
growing up in Chicago, living for some time here in California,
Yeah.
and just visiting New York City before. I haven't visited in a long time, but just being there before, I can tell you that it is like different.
It's a different
uh,
feeling, like even towards LA, like because people are like, "Oh, they're both cities," and I'm like, "No, like I've never been there, but I could tell you right off the bat, it's not going to be the same." Come on.
Yeah. So mostly of the main cities, but you also want to take a look at some of the smaller cities as well. I think even here in California, of course you can go to San Diego, you can go to
Right.
LA,
Yeah.
San Francisco. You can go into any of these major cities, and of course it's going to be, in my opinion, a tourist attraction. But there's a lot of smaller cities that you don't hear much about, but when you live in California, there's even like I've been here since 2011, and there's a lot of cities that I never heard of that I went on a road trip a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, this is actually like not at all what I expected,
Yeah. No,
and
come on.
so
I was born and raised here, and don't ask me about cities, especially the smaller ones. If you say anything, I'm like, "What? That's in California?" I'm horrible with this. I'm horrible with directions and where everything is. So please be kind.
yeah,
I mean,
I
be nice to me.
no, it's okay. I won't put you on a spot about living in California, not knowing where places are. It's okay.
Yeah, I like barely know what's around me. Okay, I know the way to LA. I know the way to San Diego sometimes. Other than that, it's up to my GPS.
I
Up to
understand.
my Maps app.
So we talked about Thailand and we talked about the Dolphins. Now, one of the last
Yes.
things, and I'm not saying that your bucket list is this short by any means, but just from what was discussed before,
Hmm.
one of the last things was obtaining a PhD or master's. Which one are you more focused in? Did you want to? I know you wanted to get to PhD. We talked about this before, but right now, as it stands, in November of 2024, which one are you closest to getting, or what's your plan with your education?
So listen, I'm only graduating with my BA in May, right, of next year. But I want to get both because obviously master's comes before PhD. PhD is higher. And so I'm looking into programs that offer both, which is really rare. So some PhD programs offer the ability to do your master's at the same time as your PhD. So like the first few years, you'll get your master's and then it'll run straight into a PhD program, which is really rare. And they offer a master's in English, which is great. PhD programs around here that I've looked into at least. There's not a lot of English PhDs, just for the schools around me. So I'm going to have to look outside of that scope and see if anyone offers the PhD in either English or something similar. You know me, I'm going into a teaching program, right? And so I wouldn't be able to go into a teaching program if I didn't have certain classes, right? And so there's all different types of programs depending on what you want to be, but it's sometimes specific to your major, right? So like I can't just go become a nurse with an English degree. I would have to, have classes for that first. So it gets a
Well,
little
I'd
complicated
I'd
depending
hope
what you
so.
have. Yeah,
I'd
I'd
hope
hope
so.
so a little bit. I
Uh,
hope that my nurse isn't majoring in English.
Majoring in like photography or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I do know that there are some programs, and I'm not specifically sure on what subject or field it's for, but I've heard that there are some programs where you don't have to necessarily, or you probably do obtain a master's, but it's kind of similar to what you said, but it's like more of a accelerated like PhD program where you just go straight through. Um, like pretty much the conclusion of the program is getting a PhD and not like a master's or something like that. I've heard. I don't know. I haven't looked into any of that stuff. Speaking of English, what made you choose English in or for education versus like mathematics or like science or even other things? What made you choose English?
So I am not a fan of math because I'm not good at it, right? Math's not the problem, it's me. So I've never been really good at math, but I've always loved English. I've always done very well. You know me, I love writing. So I chose English because there's a lot more job possibilities for the realm of what I like. So like let's say I finish my teaching degree and I go off and teach and I'm like, it's not for me. There's a lot of other jobs I can get with an English degree. And my second choice is being an editor at a publishing firm, which I'm looking more into to see if a BA would be fine. Obviously, I still want a master's, so it wouldn't matter because I'm going to get the master's. But I would also love to be an editor for a publishing firm or for a journal, anything like that. I would absolutely love.
What I think the next question would be, and I think it's pretty obvious where I would go with
Yeah.
this, because most places they are very. I mean, of course, if you have like a degree, they might be more lenient to like hiring without like experience, and of course, getting your degree usually you get some sort of experience. But I think, have you considered starting your own type of journal, doing some type of investigative journals and things like that?
No, so I do fun writing. So I post it online. I won't say what or where because I don't want people to find me. I'd rather be anonymous on that one. But I do write all the
know
time
where it's
online.
at.
You know where it's at, of course. But I have so many stories, and a lot of people read them. Not as much as I would love, but you know what? I'm just happy even if only one person comments and is reading, because that to me is like, yes, I found someone who likes the same things as me. You know what I mean? Like it's that connection. But yeah, like I write all the time. But I will say, teaching wise, like you know how much I love it, and I've always grown up. Like I found, I don't know if you did this, because where did you go to elementary school? Was it in California or Chicago?
I was in Chicago.
Okay, so I don't know if schools in Chicago did this, but when I was in elementary school, we used to have a student of the month or week. I can't remember which. I think it was month. And you would get this little poster board, like paper, and you would answer the questions on it. And one of the questions was, what is my dream job when I become older? And I freaking found mine the other day, and it said I wanted to be a teacher. And I was like, dang. I was like, that was pretty spot on. I love children, like watching over them and teaching them. But I think I prefer older children just because it's easier to have like a normal conversation to where, you know, like they're on a more mature level to speak with you. It's just easier sometimes. Not all the time, most definitely. But for me, it was just doing something I love, and I love public speaking. I love teaching, and I love just like, because I had so many great teachers growing up where I had horrible ones too, and I think that's like a common experience for everyone. But I remember those few teachers that were so nice, and I was like, you know what, like that's also why I'm becoming a teacher, is because in, you know, after they graduate in like 10 years, I would hope that they would remember me fondly and be like, you know what, that teacher was really awesome. Like she really cared about me and she really cared about my future, because that's how I felt for a select few of my teachers as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm scared, of course. There's a lot of issues when it comes to teaching right now. I think everyone knows, but I'm still excited, and I'm going to follow what makes me happy. And, you know, for me, I think that's the hard part, is everyone is so focused on money, and I get it, you know, I totally get it. But for me, it was about what's going to make me happy in the long run.
You know what? Given that last point that you said, everyone is focused on money. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I was very focused on money. I definitely knew I needed to make more money. I got into an industry leasing apartments where it's commission based. You know, you get your base pay. Your base pay don't really pay you, you know, much. But I can't complain about it because I was making more than minimum wage. But a lot of my money came from you know, the commission that you get from leasing apartments. Now, leasing apartments in LA is, some apartments are very expensive, and of course I was leasing those very expensive apartments. Moral conflict of interest, in my opinion. Like, I don't necessarily like the price for a lot of these apartments, but at the same time, it was a job, and I was just there to do the job. I met myself in the middle, in a sense where I told myself I would never try to push upon or force someone to take a home, especially if I know it's like too expensive, they can't afford it, whatever the case may be. Now, of course, I can't make that decision for them; they have to make that decision themselves. But I've that was my like moral middle ground, where I told people like, hey, look, I'm not here to sell you anything. If you came here because you saw something that you're interested in, I'm here to show you what you're interested in, and see if how it could best work for you. And believe it or not, I got more people when I switched my philosophy from I need to sell these homes to I need to help people find their next home.
Yeah.
When I switched that philosophy, I actually got more people to lease a home than when I was like, oh, you have to take this right now. Like this is gonna go, because
Yeah.
people
Well,
can
I
see
feel
through
like
that. They can
there's always
tell.
that saying too. Like, you catch more flies with honey than you would vinegar or something like that. I don't remember what it is. Um, and I just feel like a lot of people are looking for kindness, especially now. Like, people are so mean.
Yeah.
And I
Pe-
understand that too, because like sometimes I'm just like, I hate everyone, I hate the world. But at the same time, like, I want to be nice too, because like I would hope that someone would be nice to me, especially if I'm having a good day. Just to hear that one person being like, give you a compliment or something, or even just say hi is like, it
Mhm.
changes your day, to be honest.
We're going to take a break from the action right here because I think this is a perfect time to add a challenge. Now, the purpose of this challenge is to try to help people become, I guess, better in a sense. Now, it's of course it's up to you, and there's no one who can really check this challenge for you. But I encourage everyone to participate in this challenge. And the challenge is be the first to say good morning or good evening, good afternoon to someone. Be the first to ask someone how their day's going. Be the first to extend your hand for a handshake. Be the first to open your arms for a hug for loved one, friends, so on and so forth. I think those little small things, those little small moments could go a long way, and building a relationship also go a long way in making the world a better place.
I want to be a good teacher in the fact I want my students to remember me as someone who actually cared and who was nice and kind, um, instead of having a bad teacher who they have a horrible experience with. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to fill the role, and kind of take the place of a bad teacher. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather be a good teacher and be remembered for that as someone
I
who
I,
cared and it was
I
nice.
can agree with that statement. I think just me growing up in general, of course, we all have to go through, schooling. Doesn't have to necessarily be public,
Yeah,
but I grew up in public schooling.
I did too.
And I've had teachers at the time when I was younger, I didn't understand. And I was just like, why are you always on me about this and about that?
Hmm.
And I feel that, you know, I kudos to you for your thought in it. I think that, or I want you to know that I believe you're going to become a very good teacher or educator, I should say.
Thank you. Yeah, because eventually I want to move on and be a professor.
I think what, and I want to say this, I'm sure you experience this as well. And for anyone who's listening about this and who ever thought about get into education, when you have a young demographic of people who you're in charge of and you're responsible for, they don't see things the way you see it. And I will say that for me personally, I didn't see a lot of the things that my I would say educators instead of teachers. A lot of my educators wanted to show me because I was so young and it wasn't an issue for me, and it usually is not an issue until you get older and you start to realize that your life is not you know maybe you should have dedicated more time to learning this skill or trade or whatever the case may be, instead of trying to become a class clown. Because when I was in Chicago, I it was like 70 people to like one teacher, no assistant, anything like that.
Yeah,
And
no,
it was
no,
just it
same.
was just always trouble, and it was like you could never learn anything because people were just always like trying to fight or
Oh
pulling the
yeah.
fire alarm
Like,
or like.
even like Q, look at TikTok. Like, I follow a lot of teachers on there, and it's it's crazy. They're outnumbered, number one, and number two, a lot of these children are out of control, and it's not the fact of like, oh, people should act this certain way. It's There's no basic respect. Like, that's what I was taught as I was growing up, is like, you respect your elders, you treat people the way you want to be treated, and I feel like that's not a thing anymore. Like, why
Well,
is that not a thing anymore?
Katie, thank you for your time. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for all the love and
No.
support that you give me. I really do hope that you post Sims for fun,
Oh my gosh.
and also expand your writing and put it out there for more people to
Yes.
see. I know it's more like fandom writing, but
It is, yeah. But I mean, like, I'm hoping in the future to write a book. I think it would be great. I have an idea already, and I'll tell you later. But I really consider writing a book in the future.
well, let's get to it. That's another one of your bucket list items that we
There you
didn't
go,
cover.
write a book.
But yeah, thank you for sharing with me your 3 bucket list items that I guess you thought was most important.
I appreciate the invite. This is so much fun. I love it.
Once again, thank you, Katie, for participating in this podcast. And if you like this podcast, you like the idea of it, you like to be a part of it, you have some topics you would like to hear about, please reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, even here on YouTube, or I have my email address. All that's going to be posted here. Reach out to me. Let me know the ideas that you have. Let me know topics that you want to hear about. Let me know if you want to participate in any particular topic that I have coming up. I do want to say thank you for watching and hope to see you on the next episode.